would everyone here like to save thousands? Heck, how many people here would like to get an otherwise expensive product absolutely free of charge? Well, I'm here to tell you how to do that with a variety of software critical to a successful business. We're going to talk about the benefits this software can provide, why this software is worth it, and what tools and skills you will need in your business to make the most of this wonderful opportunity using open source software. In my personal experience, there are a few key attributes that makes open source software superior to a lot of the proprietary software out there. First off, we'll look at quality. A software package created by thousands of developers invites the opportunity for many innovating new features and enhancements to those products. You also have customizability. Business users can use open source software to tweak it to suit it to their needs. Since the code's open, it's simply a matter of modifying it to add functionality they want without the worry of legal issues. We also have security. Visible source code means many eyes have the opportunity to review the code for bugs and security risk, making open source software generally more secure than proprietary software that only has a small number of team members scanning the code for security risk. The auditability, or the ability to see the code behind the open source software, means that you can see it for yourself and be confident. You don't have to take it on the word of the proprietary software vendor that the code has been audited to find any security issues and kept up to date. You also have the freedom and flexibility of the open source software, which allows you to modify the code the same way the customizability does to suit the business needs to best help you and the functions of your company. There are also plenty of support options as well for open source software. Even some of these has live communities where you can see documentation, forums, mailing lists, forges, wikis, news groups, and some live support chats for some like Linux. And of course, the cost is another great thing there because there's no upfront cost incurred. The program is actually free. The only thing you may have to pay for in some is the live support. Some examples of some of the bigger codes out there are the GNU Linux project. Probably one of the biggest things to ever happen to open source. A man named Linus Torvald built the kernel, which was called Linux, and the GNU, which was developed by someone else, were put together at the same time, and we have the traditional Linux operating system. Some other examples of well-known open source software and creators are Red Hat, Debian, Ubuntu, WordPress, Drupal, MySQL, Firefox, OpenOffice, Google Chrome, Android, and Apache. Some of these I'm sure many of you have heard of before, such as MySQL, Firefox, OpenOffice, Google Chrome, and Android. While many of these companies and their software earn income through some means to use their open source software, it remains free and available for review. Some statistics: 90% of users use 10% of the features of software, what we commonly call the commonly used features, otherwise known as the 90-10 rule. The majority of everyday tasks required of proprietary software can be easily performed by most open source software. For instance, Microsoft Office works like OpenOffice, one of the leading open source software. Sound editing through Audacity, FTP through FileZilla, creating and manipulating PDFs through open source software such as Primo PDF and PDFSam. These open source products are becoming more competitive and have a growing market share, especially with web-related platforms and development tools. The list is growing and currently stars software such as Linux as an operating system, Apache as a web server, Firefox as a web browser, Java and PHP as languages, MySQL and PostgreSQL as databases, and it goes on and on. Today's most popular frameworks, development tools, and workbenches are all open source programs. Taking a look at the chart displayed demonstrates how Apache, the open source web server software, has claimed dominance and preference in the web server software in recent years, claiming over half the market alone. In conclusion, by no means has this been an all-inclusive presentation of the concepts and type of open source software in just 5 minutes, but it has provided you and your company with the knowledge required to determine if this is the right approach for the company moving forward, and it also indicates what the future may be like as open source software becomes more prevalent. Knowing the bottom line for a company is to maximize profits, it can be a great approach to guarantee this care is taken when selecting the software best for the company and managing its implementation. Some of the largest Fortune 500 companies out there implement and use open source software, and the number of companies successfully utilizing this type of software is steadily increasing each year. It is expected that this trend will continue and open source software will continue to rise among successful businesses.